Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's beautiful to be here. Lovely program. My name is Kelechi Amadi Obi, 3 names, and I'm a photographer. From childhood, I've been obsessed with the visual, communicating with the visual. I started as best artist in the class, drawing Spider-Man and Incredible Hulk in primary school. And then gradually, I graduated to painting. And when I wanted to go to school, like in those days, I only had 2 options: be a doctor or be a lawyer. So I decided to be a lawyer, but I couldn't stop drawing. And then eventually, cut a long story short, I got hooked on photography. And I've been trying my best to tell the story of Africa, to tell the story of Nigeria through imagery. And I believe that we are defined, our sense of self is defined by our memories, stories we've heard, and things we've seen defines who we are. In the ancient times, it was the old man sitting under a tree telling stories by the moonlight. Call it oral tradition, right? Beautiful. Now, that is what gives the village kids a sense of identity. In modern times, too many things involved now. Plenty technology, from photography to multimedia to radio, and also oral tradition. And I've been making these images, but most of them are images I made in the studio or trying to tell stories within Lagos. But I told myself, all the time we keep complaining about the way Africa is being portrayed, the way you have one story. It's all about poverty, it's all about terrorism, it's all about corruption. And I'm telling myself, we need to understand who we are. And it's only when we understand who we are that we can go ahead and contribute. And I'm saying, you can only be good, you can only be the best at being yourself. You see, we are bombarded, the kind of stories we hear these days, we are bombarded by media. You're watching cable TV, and a huge majority of the content there is foreign. Our children are no longer listening to Tales by the Moonlight. Sometimes, like they say, life is a combination of design and accident. So you design, and God decides what he wants, right? And so I'm approaching Zuma Rock. Oh, I say, man, this weather is not looking good, oh. And of course, there was a big cloud on top of Zuma Rock. And I saw some guys, I swear, by that time of the morning, they were peeling sugarcane. I said, you know what, I'll settle for the sugarcane. I needed some sugar in my life right then. And you can see Zuma Rock in the background, right? And it's covered with a big cloud. There was no sun, there was no romantic sunrise. And I told the driver, you know what, let's go to Mina and discover Gurara Falls. Yeah? Now I've seen pictures of Gurara Falls and I said, oh my God, I'm going to do this, slow sync pictures, and I don't know how far the place is. And we drove past this place, and as we were approaching Gurara Falls, I could hear the water sort of roaring, huge waterfall. I didn't believe what I saw. And boom, it was amazing. And I looked at it and I told myself, I am happy to be a Nigerian. I didn't know we had this. You see, Sometimes you come to a location and you're surprised at how majestic it is. Yeah? When that happens, it means whoever was promoting that location did a bad job. They didn't take a good picture. They didn't tell a good story about the place. So each time I come to places like this, I keep asking myself, oh my goodness, if this was in some other part of the world, they wouldn't let us sleep with posters and movies and stuff. And I was there enjoying it. I switched my camera to slow sync so the water sort of slicks down, slow exposure starts to look like milk. Yeah? And of course, I enjoyed that and I decided to go to the next location. So we started driving back. Yeah? And what did I see? Boom. Now the clouds have lifted, and you know what? Okay, let me tell you the preamble to this story. Because as a photographer, I was heading back to Abuja. You need two things. You need good luck. And after good luck, you have to get married to patience. You need both. And I said, as we were going, it was raining cats and dogs. I said, no, please, Zuma Rock. I want a hot sun on Zuma Rock. And it's approaching 4 or 5, and I had to go to the nearest town, have a drink, and go back. And it was still cloudy. So I said, look, don't give up. Good luck may shine on you. Have patience. And then I saw this other rock that was next to it. I stood on that rock, put my tripod, put my camera, and I started waiting. 6:30, 35, a cloud just opened. And God decided to shine his touch. 2 minutes it took for the light to hit this mountain. And it was awesome. And beautiful, really. And then I started to head to the next location. No. I waited later. I decided to do a light trail. 4 seconds exposure. You got those headlamps going after the light is gone. And then the next day, I headed up to Kano. Yeah? To the Emir's Palace. This is the Emir of Kano's Palace. I'd been here before, but they had actually tried to, they had refurbished it. It wasn't this dark, the brown. And I wanted to go into the palace, and they say you have to see the secretary to the Emir. I said, man, these people are sophisticated. Secretary. And I went there, I saw this old man. I swear that guy must be 85 or thereabout. And he says, Emir is ill. He went to Saudi Arabia. You cannot go into the palace, but you can shoot the gate. I said, that is good for me. I'm happy. Thank you very much, sir. And the skies were blue, and the sun was just blazing. And those school children were coming out. It looked heavenly. You see, when I look at our heritage, I saw that old man. I saw his office. His office was this colonial building. It was, for me, a thing of pride to see people guard our past with so much pride. It made me understand, good, this is where I come from. And of course, from there, I'd been hearing about the Kano dye pits, Kofa Mata dye pits. I used to see those pictures in old encyclopedia, and I had watched the TV program, and they said, oh, the dye pits are gone, that they've turned them to dustbins. I said, no. I hope this is not happening. I've always wanted to show those guys dipping clothes inside these holes, little holes in the ground, and making tie and dye. So I asked for Kofa Mata dye pits, and they said, oh, it's just down the road. I got there, amazing. It was a lie. Place was up and going. In fact, there was a tour guide. The guy said, hey, you want to come visit us? I said, yes. He said, wait, let me give you the history of this place. In 19 whatever, I said, what is going on here? I said, wait, let me go and get my camera. By the time I came out, they had people lined up with the clothes, showing me the different patterns they had made. I was so impressed, I ended up spending all my fuel money buying some of the adire. And that was it. Now that old man was dipping the dye, And the guy that was guiding me was like, do you want to take more photographs? I said, you know what? I want you to line the clothes on the wall. And I saw that little round one around his head, and it looked like a halo. And I said, perfect. Perfect. I took the shot and I headed off. Now, I had to find another palace on my way back to Abuja, and I decided to head to Zaria. The emir of Zaria had a palace like I'd never seen before. The palace was a complete artwork. The whole wall was a tapestry of colors, primary colors, a bit like Jackson Pollock or Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh kind of painting, but with a very, Northern African, Hausa flavor. And boom, it was amazing. And they maintained all their colors, and you could see they're also telling you about Nigeria. A bit of green, white, green, no? Awesome. Awesome. You see, these people, they have held on to their tradition, but they've taken it a little further. You see that other building next to it? I've been here before. That building wasn't there. But they took pains to make sure that the building did not change the identity of what they had met. And I saw these great people keeping with the tradition. I decided to shoot just the gate again. I had to get out quickly. Started heading back to Abuja. But sometimes things happen. And it just happened. As I was on my way, I saw this piece of rock just by the wayside. And the sun was the opposite way, shining on the rock. There was a bit of green, and the skies behind the rock were dark and heavy with rain. So you had a gray background against the bright rock with some greens. Now, this is something that I've never seen before. It's not like any of these famous rocks. It's just some rock by the way. Some guys were selling suya by the side, and others were doing some. But luckily for me, they weren't doing it in front of the rock. And I told the driver to stop. Stop! This is somewhere on your way from Zaria back to Abuja. I couldn't understand what the guys were saying, so I didn't know the name of the place. There was no sign. I see things like this as hidden jewels. They're hidden in plain sight. Go out there. Know your country. I get to Abuja, and I headed straight for the mosque. Now, this is one piece of, what do I call it? When you want to make a statement, you're not just putting a building up, right? So you cannot talk about Abuja, whether you're a Muslim or a Christian, without talking about this edifice. It's amazing. And they have maintained it to a fault. Looks exactly the way I saw it when it was built. So I was thinking that this is one of our national treasures. And you know what? Luckily for me again, we've got the blue sky, and then it's just helping me with that dome. Awesome. And then I head back east. I went to Imo State, where I come from, and I'm asking. I'm looking for Mbari. Mbari art is an ancient type of art. When young people are coming of age, some of them are taken for a ritual, and during that ritual, they're given mud. And they use the mud to tell the story of their time. When I was growing up, I used to see these artworks. They look like shrines, yeah? But you would have a picture of maybe a hunter or the picture of a white man wearing, the cap. You could tell that these people are telling a story. Now, the sort of things you see in the pyramids, where you can see those signs and stories. So you look at them and you can tell that, somebody killed somebody or something happened. It's their way of chronicling history. It becomes, again, a mirror of who we are, evidence of things that have happened in the past. And it's a thing of pride. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one. Somebody told me there was one in a village, and I quickly went there. And they said, oh, it's there, it's along the road. Somebody pointed it out to me. There was grass all around it. And then the man now took me inside, and it was as if they were hiding it. Apparently, people have been destroying those things. Because they call it juju. Anyway, I was lucky to find this. Yeah, and they were trying to restore them. So it was really in ruins, but this was all I could find. So I asked further. I said, look, what else can I find around here? I mean, this is where I come from. So I went to the National Archives, and they say, go to Chief Obi's compound. You'll see the colonial building of the man that brought Christianity to Owerri. I said, Chief Obi's compound in Emekuku. They said, yes. My name is Kelechi Amadi Obi. Obi, that's my great-grandfather. I said, are you talking about my grandfather's house? They said, yes. I said, awesome. Let me go to the village. I grew up looking at that house. It was a colonial house. Great-grandfather used to live there. And it was a beautiful piece of. And then one day we saw it was sort of shifting, and we started to preserve it. And then we started saying, oh, this is like a real heritage. I haven't seen this kind of thing around here. And I went to the National Archives in Owerri, and they mentioned that, and that was the main thing I could go photograph. And that's the house. So it's been refurbished and it's been preserved as one of the national monuments. And then I decided, oh, before the end of the day, I better start heading to Onitsha. I have to capture River Niger and the Niger Bridge. That bridge is the bridge between the rest of Nigeria and eastern Nigeria. And it's really an ancient bridge. Beautiful. They don't make them like this anymore. It was amazing. The light was great. Right at the, when I went to Asaba and I shot from the other side, was the blue sky. Amazing. So from there, I took off. Well, this is another picture of the bridge. I decided to go to Anambra State. And there was a cave, Ogunike Cave, in Anambra State. I had seen it in the internet. Well, I heard about it, but I didn't have any photos. And I needed to go to this cave. You know, caves, bats, and things. I got there, and I saw a nice little waterfall. So I made a picture. I like the greens and the rocks. Use a slow sink to make the water a little blood. Looked nice. And there was a school coming on excursion. I had to put this picture because if I took a picture of the cave, it looked like a little crack on the floor. So the human beings will give you a sense of scale. So people were climbing through the cave. When I got into the cave, it was too dark to make any pictures. Complete darkness. Just bats flying around the whole place. It was interesting. And I'm thinking that, you know, it's the kind of thing you need to come back with loads of light, you know. But you come out of the cave from this side, it's an amazing place. Amazing. I want to go back there with a lot of lights at night. And then I had heard of this place. This is Ohom Waterfall. It's near Ohom Monastery, Catholic monastery, and they made it a place of worship. I looked for this place and looked for it. Nobody knew where it was. I started getting the feeling that Mungo Park had when he was looking for River Niger. Trekked for 1 hour before I got to the monastery. After much persuasion, because they didn't like to be disturbed, they agreed for me to go to the place, and I had another 1 hour trekking and climbing to get to this place. And when I was approaching this waterfall, you see, it's water that has eroded a rock and created a crack that was beautiful. It looked like the Grand Canyon. Only you had to pass through a cave and now see the water cascading down. Amazing place. That brown water you see there is just flowing constantly, and it's got white sand under it. And then you start to get this kind of images. I hadn't seen anything like this before. I'm wondering why Nollywood wasn't making movies here. I guess that's why the monks didn't want people coming too much. And then when you look at this, you think it's light. You know, That's not light. That's a 4-second exposure with the water cascading down, very loud. That place was really dark. I had to squeeze the camera to its last capacity to get this image out of it. No flash, no Photoshop, straight up photography. Then I decided to come to Western Nigeria. I came back to Lagos, took a breather. I said, okay, I'm nearer to my home. Guys, let's go to Oshobo Grove, Let's go and see what's happening at the shrine. That place is like an enchanted place, If somebody, if Indiana Jones acted one of the series there, it would have been wicked. Wicked. He didn't need to change anything. You understand? Now, you see that monkey? That monkey feels so safe because they have a policy not to touch the animal. So when I was driving in, I saw monkeys all over the place, just hanging out, playing, like a bunch of children that were coming back from school. I was like, why are they not running away? I said, no, nobody touches them. I said, are you serious? So this one was just there. They said, oh, he says he's an old chap, don't mind that he looks good. And I started bringing my camera closer to him. I wanted to know how close I could come before it would run away. Thing didn't move, kept posing for me. I said, oh my goodness. Now, Oshobo Grove is a well-preserved monument. Now, not only are they keeping the place in a pristine, situation, they have tour guides, they have people that will tell you the whole story of Oshun River worship. Yeah? Now, I could spend the rest of this talk explaining to you what they told me, but let's carry on. I think I've had enough of the monkey, and I decided to get some real stuff. Now, these are sculptural pieces that were made inspired by the story of Oshobo worship. Now, there was this Austrian woman called Susan Wenger, was married to her husband, Olivera, who was like a curator artist. She was an artist too. They got to this place and got really taken by the tradition. She converted to their religion and ended up divorcing her husband and marrying a drummer. And she got so into Oshun worship that she became a priestess of the Oshun shrine. And she transformed that place by using a more durable material, which is cement sculpture, to make artworks inspired by the worship. Listen, what she was doing was exactly what Michelangelo is doing, for St. Peter's Basilica, when he made those artworks inspired by Christianity, right? Now, this is storytelling. Every single sculptural piece here has a very clear significance in their worship, okay? And there was a bridge built by the colonial masters, they say 1914, by Lord Lugard. Beautiful bridge, it sort of, swings. I took a picture of it. Now look at this. I've seen pictures of this stuff. I did not understand the scale of it. If you look closely, you'll find a man. There's a man in the middle there with a white cap, right? Now that will give you an example of how monumental this piece is. When I look at it, I see an attempt to take from nature and not take away. The shapes are organic. Looks like wood, right? Eaten by termite. This is cement sculpture. Now, it's supposed to be the chameleon. They use it for making incantations about weather. And now, look at this. This is god of smallpox that people come to worship when they're inflicted. And things, a long story like that, but the thing just looked amazing. But look at this one. Awesome. Now, you wouldn't understand the scale of this. You see that little thing down there? That's a door. So that's the size of a human being. Right? Huge monumental works that I saw there. And I saw people again preserving our past. And I was proud. And I decided to go to Enrijesha Waterfalls. When I decided to go here, it was raining. It was raining and I was heading to a waterfall with slippery rocks. I'd been here before, but I'd never seen this waterfall this violent. So it had gathered all the rainwater and it was blasting at full capacity. I think they should put Kainji Dam over there. Anyway, it was beautiful. I just discovered something that they had done. They are developing this site. They had put stairs next to it. I'm sure some of you would have seen that before. So it's beginning to look like Erigesha Falls next to the China walls. Anyway, it was fun, and I decided to head back to another section of Western Nigeria. And this is where I had to pass through to get to that fall. You can see the flood. It was raining, but it was beautiful. And then I went to Olumo Rock. Olumo Rock is an incredible piece of rock, and it has a long story. In fact, Abeokuta got its name from the rock. The people that took refuge under the rock became, how do I put it, protective sanctuary, you know. And from Olumo Rock, I mean, I looked at the distance and I saw those brown roofs. And I'm telling myself, I can't wait to get to Ibadan. I look at those roofs and say, these roofs don't quite make it, man. I know Ibadan is going to give me some brown roofs, man. Talk about rust, you know. And anyway, I decided, there were some young guys, and they said, look, you're a tourist, right? I said, yes. Let's show you the first church in Nigeria. I said, for real? The guy said, yes, I'll take you there. I said, great, let's go. So he takes me into town. I was planning to just take off to Ibadan. Takes me into town and shows me this church. And really, they wrote on that signboard, first church in Nigeria. I said, man, these guys can't be telling lies. I need to investigate it, but if that is it, we need to celebrate that site more, right? And that's it. That's the church. You see, on my way there, I saw something like the whole Abeokuta looked like time stopped. You know, this Portuguese architecture, colonial houses, you know, some interesting architecture that, you know, you want to just spend time and look at that stuff. Shooting the city would make some nice postcards. And I thought this was interesting. But I now saw a part of the major road where they had cut some of these things in half. And like, oh my goodness, what's going on? They say, oh, development is coming to our city. The guys were very glad. They say, look, you know, the governor is building some major road here. I say, okay, is this right? Should we just destroy the monumental buildings? But maybe it's progress. So I turned my camera, you know, to start looking at some of the destruction. And I was looking at it. You know, I saw this crack, house demolished on one side, and the sun was really nice. And that's the color of their cabs. You know, it's not yellow and black. And I was looking at it. I said, wow, you know, something good coming out of destruction. Maybe this is a story coming up here. And I saw these guys. Their house has been cut in half. But, you know, these guys, I mean, where do these guys come from, man? They just relaxed. They turned it to a corridor, man. I told the guy, can I photograph them? I mean, they'd be angry with somebody pointing a camera. Just please ask them. He was, hey, take a picture. It's okay. I said, these guys are wonderful. Very friendly. So I took picture. I thought it was nice. So I started thinking. About life. You understand? I said, look, you know, sometimes bad things happen to us, you know? Like Nigeria, we like to complain. Say, now wow, there's too much corruption. Oh, NEPA no day, you know? I said, but look at these guys. They're making the best of some form of destruction, you know? Their asset has been cut in half. And I had seen this picture when I was coming out in Enugu, and it struck me. Out of destruction, life sort of comes. And I had seen this tree that had been burnt in the forest. And I saw those white things, fungi, growing out of it. And it formed a kind of analogy of the way we survive in spite of everything. Nigerians have this superhuman resilience. And I'm putting it next to the middle of that destruction. And there was this woman. I looked and I saw, at first I see like a photographer, then I start to think, I just saw red pepper. I said, red, nice color. Then I saw tomatoes, and the woman was wearing Ankara. I said, nice picture. So I did, hey, Mama, can I take some pictures? Oh, it's okay. So, but she was just next to all that destruction. Then I looked and I saw one woman. She was actually making beans. The woman was cutting potatoes. I said, this is an industry going on here. This is another sign of industry. And, oh, sorry, let me go back. There. And I made that picture. It was still part of Abeokuta. You understand? And I thought it was interesting. From there, I headed off to Ibadan in search of brown roofs. But there was something I was curious about in Ibadan. I've been there before. I said, let me go back. There was another monastery, Dominican monastery. And there was a piece of architecture in that place that had blown my mind. You see, sometimes you want to take from the past and recreate the future. You understand? Now, I've been looking at Nigerian architecture, and I'm asking myself, who are we? Glass towers, and send down the rain roofs. Who does it belong to? What happened to our traditional stuff? How come it's just these northerners that are doing this great continuity, from the past into the present? And I had seen some work done by an extraordinary architect called Pademas Nwoko. He was an artist and he ventured into architecture and he built this church. And I thought it was amazing. Those signs you see there are part of what we call uli signs that they used to make on walls in Igbo land. So he takes from that and he builds a church. He's a bit of an artist, very eccentric. I've met him before, And if you look here, he built something called the Hall of Martyrs. You see the crosses? Then you can see that thing that looks like a snake. It's called Agwalagwo in Igbo. It's his borrowing from our mythology. A bit like what Susan Wenger did, but he now puts it in a monastery. Yeah? So I thought that was something to capture. Edifices like this need to be celebrated. And, aha! The roofs! I couldn't believe it. I said, no, how is this place functioning? They say it's been like this. It's been like this. How do those guys get there? They said, don't worry. So I found a tower where I could shoot the roofs and I did a panorama of it. It was amazing. I needed something to break the monotony. Otherwise it would look like a Jackson Pollock, painting. And I found that little road there to break it up and it just created what I wanted. Yeah? And I saw these children. They just kept coming in front of my camera. I said, this has got to be the most happy people in the world, man. and I thought education in all of this, amazing. So I had to take that picture. I had to show it. It's all part of who we are. And then I saw this piece of architecture, Mapu Hall in Ibadan. Amazing. These guys have been maintaining this. It's a functional place and it's a colonial building. Probably how it looked when they just created it. These guys get 100% on conservation for me. And then I started looking for something else. I've looked at the past and I've looked at the present. Now I started saying I need to look into the future. And I said, yeah, here we are in Africa trying to think into the future and create an island on our own, like Dubai. And I said, wow, can I go into the Atlantic and stand on sand and shoot bar beach? And this is it. For me, this is Africa getting impetuous and saying, we can do this. We can create our own city by ourselves. You understand? So now I was looking at this. I'm saying, you take the past, you need a bridge to get into the future. And I'm looking at Lagos, and I say, Lagos is that bridge. Lagos is the bridge to the future in Nigeria. Forward thinking place. And in terms of imagery, you see, this was the end, of my expedition, because I came back to where I was living. But I was telling myself, through this expedition, I got a sense of who I am. I got a sense of how strong this nation is. I got a sense of where I come from. And you know what? Each and every one of us can do this. It's no big deal. You don't need to be a super photographer with the most expensive gear. I know a lot of people say, I know this guy. I know his camera. I know this guy. You understand? Which lens did you use? I know. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when I started my career as a photographer, I started with film. Very manual, no batteries. Yeah? Some of you are familiar with RZ67. No batteries, bro. Film, when you want to finish, you go and process. Okay? And then digital technology came. And all of us say, I beg, leave these people. How can you do digital camera? It's inferior. And eventually, just in a short while, they now had a 3 megapixel camera. 3! I was like, oh my God, 3 megapixels? I'm going digital. I bought a 3 megapixel Canon, and I was using it. I used it to shoot True Love magazine covers for years. And then the thing kept going. And all of a sudden, it just skyrocketed. Boom. So what I'm trying to say is this. Technology has moved, and things are moving even faster. You can tell the story of Nigeria. You can tell the story of your life. You can do whatever you like. This whole thing was shot with a camera, phone. All these photos were shot with a phone. You can do it. Thank you.